Welcome, everyone. We can begin now. Good afternoon. Welcome to the Green Career Panel hosted by the Office of Sustainability and the Career Center at SJSU. Thank you all for attending. If you'd like to introduce yourselves in the chat, you can send your name, your pronoun, your year in college, and your major. Please note that we are recording this panel and it will be available to view on our YouTube channel at SJSU Green Campus later this week. My name's Jenna. I'm a junior at San Jose State and currently environmental justice intern with the Office of Sustainability, and I'll be your moderator for today. The Green Career Panel is an opportunity for students to have exposure to a possible career in sustainability after graduation, even if you're not an environmental studies major. Today, we have a variety of panelists ranging from a waste and sustainability coordinator, a program coordinator, and environmental planners, and a career counselor. Today, we also have staff from the Career Center to answer any questions you may have. The panelists will each have 5 minutes to share with us what experiences helped them get to where they are now, any advice or tips you would give students searching for a job or internship given the current health and economic situation, and any job opportunities they have for students. After that portion is over, you're welcome to utilize the chat and send your questions for the panelists there, and I will read the questions to the panelists at the end. Please keep in mind that we will be asking each panelist the questions asked in the chat unless specified otherwise. And at this time, I would like to introduce you to Kristen Wonder, the Waste and Sustainability Coordinator at Sacramento State University.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Excuse me. So let me share my screen. Okay, so yes, my name is Kristen Wonder. I thank you all so much for having me today. I'm honored to be on a panel that I used to help coordinate with this wonderful department. So I will dive right into it. So here's a little bit of my timeline to where I am now. I started at Butte Community College in Chico, California, where I got my AA in social and behavioral sciences, and I got a Peace and Global Studies certificate there. And getting that Peace and Global Studies certificate is really the first introduction I had to sustainability and the first time where I realized what I wanted to do with my career and my life. Because once I started learning about what was truly going on in the world and in the environment, there's no way I could really go down any other career path. And the picture right above that is all of us at, I'm pretty sure that's UC Davis. The Student Sustainability Coalition about 10 years ago was big, and we did a lot with between these conferences and Power Shift, which was a big conference in DC, well, student run kind of effort to shift money and power from the fossil fuel industry to more renewable energy. So after I finished at Butte Community College, I transferred to San Jose State, which holds a lot of my heart still. And there I got my BA in environmental studies and my minor in communication studies. Is my audio being strange? We're good. Okay. And so I did my BA in environmental studies and I did my minor in communication studies because I really wanted to learn how to be the most efficient communicator in terms of sustainability. And because my focus tends to be in behavior change. And I found that learning how to be, a more efficient communicator and better at public speaking would help to communicate a lot of these issues to people who don't necessarily study them, as many of us do who study environmental studies. And when I was when I was in classes at San Jose State, I started working for dining services on campus. And so I was the sustainability intern doing, zero waste in dining and looking at the products we were purchasing and putting our food in. And when I graduated, that position turned full time. So I worked in dining for about 2 years full time. And then I started working with Debbie Andres, who is on this call as well and oversees the Office of Sustainability. I started working in facilities doing the same kind of behavior change initiatives, but more so with the whole campus around energy, water, and waste. And then Debbie and I founded the Office of Sustainability, opening that a couple years ago. And also during that time, I was the co-chair of the Student Hunger Committee and played a large role in opening the Spartan Food Pantry at San Jose State. And then I am now at Sac State. I've been here for a year, which is crazy because I've been working from home for a year for a brand new campus. But I am now specializing in zero waste, so creating a zero waste plan. I work on a lot of contracts for waste haulers, any of our waste entities on campus. I work on the RFPs, so the request for proposals and the contracts. And then my favorite part is our honeybees. And you can see in the bottom right-hand corner, we take care of about 100,000 honeybees on campus. And here are a few of my highlights from my time so far in my career in working with, we had big Earth Day events. The upper right-hand corner is me and Sheryl Sandberg. She's the COO of Facebook. I was honored to be the keynote speaker at her house for an event that raised a significant amount of money for food insecurity in the Bay Area. And then Bill McKibben, who's my environmental superstar, down in the bottom right-hand corner. And I'm rushing through this just because I only have a few minutes, but I did want to share some of my lessons learned thus far in my career. And that, number one, really that sustainability can be integrated into all majors and job positions. You don't have to be a director of sustainability or, a zero waste coordinator to integrate sustainability into what you do. And also if you are, going into a job that doesn't include sustainability in your job position, I definitely think that there's always opportunity to insert it into your job description and make that part of your company culture. And I put network as my second one, and I debated it because I know that students hear that all the time. But I mean network in a way, not that, none of us are going to conferences right now or going to big social events, but networking has played a key role in where I am today. And so if you do meet somebody that you're like, wow, that's a really, really cool person, they're doing something that I want to be doing, add them on LinkedIn within 24 hours, keep that connection going. I started building my LinkedIn when I was in community college, and I think I have over 800 contacts now, and you never know what potential jobs can come from the people that you've met over the years. So that's what I mean by networking. And I think it really is really critical, especially in this time that we're in now, where jobs are, I would say, harder to come by, but at the same time, I'm seeing more and more sustainability jobs pop up than ever before. It seems like every big company is now interested in hiring, a director of sustainability. But at the same time, they're looking for people who've had 5-10 years experience, which I'm sure can be challenging for recent grads. However, I think those people will need to start developing teams. So, that's where the networking can really be key. And then, lastly, I do teach yoga on the side. And I think, again, we hear self-care is critical, just like we hear networking. But it really, really, truly is, especially in the times that we're in, and with sustainability, everything that we're doing for, the work that we do can be really depressing sometimes. And so making sure that we do take time for ourselves to recharge has been critical for me over the years. And I'll just end with one of my favorite quotes, which is, never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing that ever has. And I saw that firsthand at San Jose State with all the incredible students that are putting on this talk today, and what change we were able to have on campus and out in the world. So I'll end with that. Thank you.
Thank you, Kristen. Now I would like to introduce Morgan Angelo, an environmental planner from Jacobs Engineering Group.
Hello. Sorry, getting this opened up now. There we go. Do you guys see the full screen or do you see like this presentation's slide mode?
We can see that slide mode.
Okay. Is this the right button? I don't know what I'm doing.
We can still see the slide mode.
Yeah, that's so
Full screen option?
This one now. No. What's happening? Beforehand.
Display settings at the top.
This one? Oh, wait.
No, yeah, that one. Try that one. Ooh, swap.
Yeah, it's doing that. How interesting. Well, if you guys don't mind, it'll be in a mini version. But hi, my name's Morgan Angelo. I'm an environmental planner at Jacobs in Sacramento, California. Our office is located in Natomas, but work from home has been an interesting little parallel universe, I guess, but it's been fun. So starting off with like my personal experience, I just realized, sorry, the full screen is on my other screen now. That's so weird. This is the perks of having triple monitors, but also the downside. Okay, sorry about that. So my personal experience starts with my education at San Jose State. I was a business major at first, and I realized quickly that's not what I wanted to do, and it wasn't what I was passionate in. So I kind of did some self-reflection to realize what my interests were in, and that revolved around environmental studies. So I decided to focus just on environmental studies, and I wanted to keep my business minor in a similar sense of like how Kristen kept her communications major or minor. I wanted to keep mine in business because I realized that business was kind of shifting to a more sustainable world, and you kind of have to understand certain aspects of business in order to apply sustainability and kind of like ways to market it, costs, everything. So I wanted to kind of keep that knowledge as like a subset to my larger interest. From there, I landed my internship with the city of San Jose at the Department of Public Works. And it was titled as like a green building internship. And I kind of helped with energy and water efficiency. And one thing, there was a program with PG&E called Step Up and Power Down. And so I kind of helped streamline that at our city facilities, one being at City Hall itself, to, start those behavioral changes within our city employees to turn off their computers, because there's things called like a vampire wattage. I forgot what the real term is, but basically as you think your computer shut off, it's still using energy and it's not really efficient. Shortly after that, I graduated from San Jose State 2018. My internship ended at the city of San Jose. And I eventually had to move back to Sacramento because I wasn't finding any jobs right away in the Bay Area. And I was networking, I was doing everything possible, but it was like this weird time where I felt like I wasn't finding what I wanted to do. And that was more with CEQA, environmental planning, report writing type of documents. So I found myself with Caltrans, which is like the state transportation department up in Marysville. And then from there, I realized I didn't really like being at Caltrans. I learned a lot of great things, but I wanted to challenge myself more. And I started talking to a friend who worked at Jacobs, and I found there was a couple of environmental planning positions open. So I shortly applied and did like 2 rounds of interviews, and I've been here ever since. My advice and tips is apply, apply, apply. I know a lot of them can be discouraging with the years that they say are like a minimum qualification, but sometimes I feel like if you can market yourself and say like, I'm really passionate and knowledge about this, they might make a a difference. And sometimes like I try to remind myself, you know, let them tell you no, don't tell yourself no. So that was kind of my way to keep encouraging myself, because I even kept like a running list of all the places I was applying in the Bay Area. And it kind of was more of a challenge to myself, like how many more rejections can I get before I actually land the job that I really want, or, you know, take a step to that right direction. The next one was networking too, which is kind of funny too that Kristen had that. But instead of just always making business connections, I try to think of just making genuine friendships, even with your classmates. Like I wouldn't have been able to find a lot of the jobs that I was interested in, or even like didn't even know where to really look at some points, because I didn't really know who to talk to. So then I started thinking of who was in my class, who did I like working with, and that kind of unfolded from there. Also, even at your current jobs or wherever, you know, getting that letter of recommendation can make a difference. And sometimes you just need that one person who can justify that you're a great person, you work hard, and you'll do a good job that can really get you into that step forward. Next, it's just kind of take the leap. It's scary entering the real world. Adulting's scary. I still don't understand it, honestly. But to take that first leap, and maybe even taking that job that maybe you don't really want, but you'll learn some good experiences out of it. Maybe you'll discover something new that you're really interested in. Like at Caltrans, I was doing more of like cost estimating and task orders. And that was cool, but I wanted to do something with my environmental degree and apply that. So I started thinking of like, you know, making that switch, but now reflecting back, that stuff I learned at Caltrans is really critical to my job today still. So there's a reason for everything, and everything in life is a step towards the right direction. Even if you feel like you're going in circles, it kind of, you're going in the right direction. So just really quick about Jacobs, our kind of mottos were challenging today, reinventing tomorrow, and in hopes to just create a more connected and sustainable world. So we're trying to challenge what people are normally accepting. We're trying to use our expertise and knowledge to rethink the ways that, you know, we solve problems normally, and trying to become more innovative in our designs or whichever. And then reinventing tomorrow, you know, they say, back to what I was saying for innovations, you know, we want to have a positive impact on our solutions, and also like helping our clients too. So opportunities at Jacobs, we have paid summer internships. So if you're currently in school, we have 12-week programs. And then we also have a graduate development program, which is a 2-year program, and it's more self-directed, which is pretty interesting. And you do like 70% learning on the job, you get a mentor, and also you do some formal learning courses. Currently, even now they piloted a mentorship program that's now going full force. And so even I have a mentor to try and help challenge my thinking and what direction I'm interested in going and growing in, which is really nice, because sometimes I'm like, oh, maybe I'm interested in staying with CEQA environmental analysis. Oh, or maybe I'm more interested in the design aspects or green building, LEED certifications, all that. Yeah, thank you. It was supposed to say thank you right there, but that is all. You can visit the Jacobs website or our LinkedIn page, or also message me.
Thank you, Morgan. I wanted to remind everyone that you're welcome to utilize the chat to send any questions you have for the panelists, and I will read them out at the end. But now I would like to introduce our next panelist, Jake Silver, the program coordinator at Climate Corps AmeriCorps.
Hey, everybody. I almost started without unmuting. I think a year into this year of Zoom, I should know that by now. It's great to meet all of you. My name is Jake Silver. I work for Climate Corps AmeriCorps, which is a workforce development program for recent graduates like yourself, or really anybody looking to make a career shift into the climate and sustainability field. So on top of being a program coordinator for the program, I'm an alumni of the program as well. And yeah, I'll get into it. But going a little bit further back, I'm from Connecticut originally. So yeah, decided to move all the way across the country and make that leap of faith. Speaking of taking a leap, I went from Connecticut to the University of Michigan, where I studied political science and had a minor in sustainability. Although political science was my main focus, really sustainability for me came to the forefront as the concentration in the topic area of what I wanted to focus on. And you can go anywhere with political science, really, because it just gives you the skills and gives you an understanding of the world. And when you can take that understanding out into the real world, you want to be motivated by something, really try to make a change in a certain area. And it became sustainability for me. With all of that in mind, I graduated, went home for the summer, probably did a similar process that many of you are going through now if you're a senior graduating soon. And that was get out those applications and, sent out plenty, didn't really hear back. And what I kept feeling was that I just didn't have the experience that I needed. So in came Climate Corps. And Climate Corps is a fellowship program specifically with a dedicated component towards your own professional development and your own learning, with an understanding that you probably don't have much experience coming in. And that's really, to me, what helped launch my career, was having this really safe environment to make mistakes and to fail and to learn along the way. So I did my year of the fellowship with the city of Fremont here in the Bay Area. Didn't know anything about it, didn't know anything about the environmental challenges or the social challenges or resistance to change that there was in the town. And that was a difficult aspect of the job. But over time, I really got to know the community well and really got to see some of the change that we were trying to make. By the end of the fellowship, I was able to contribute to their renewed climate action plan. We were able to get a carbon neutrality resolution by the year 2045 passed unanimously by City Council. Despite all those great accomplishments, the one thing that still sticks with me is a quick story that I was out tabling at an event, and we were talking about different sustainability programs that we had. And one resident came up to me and talked about recycling and why he really wasn't interested. And the reason was because the wheels on the bin that he took to the curbside were too squeaky for him, and it made too much of a commotion. And so we talked a little bit about behavior change. You might encounter some challenges and issues like that, maybe some more discouraging moments than kind of funny ones like that too. But my advice is to really keep going. And because you're now taking this next leap of faith into the real world, and so you really got to know yourself, you got to know your values, you got to know the things that drive you forward, both within a position that you have and within the job search process as well. Some of my advice for you all, first of all, is that people are hiring right now. The sustainability industry, in my opinion, is booming. There's great news from the federal level as well about more funding for clean jobs, green jobs, clean infrastructure programs. Assuming that all stays true, then there will be more opportunities opening up. So obviously it's been a tough year and a lot of transitions have had to take place, and perhaps you've even changed some of your own ideas about what you would do. But I do, I'll leave you with that encouraging note, which is that there really are those jobs out there. It just takes some searching. And that, as I mentioned, with that search, it's not just about getting those applications out, but it's about knowing yourself and understanding really your core reason for applying. And if you can bring that to a job interview or to your networking that you do, that's the thing that rises to the surface, in my opinion. You can share facts and other things like that, or you can keep up with maybe trends and news, and that's great. But for me, and I do a little bit of the hiring for our program as well. The things I look for are the passion and really trying to understand from you what drives you, what motivates you in moving forward. Just some other advice, something I tried to tell myself to do is to surround yourself by the people, the places, and the ideas that inspire you and will open up new opportunities. Be ready to say yes to those things. It might be tough to say, I just want to get a job. I don't have all this extra free time. Now I do have a job. I still don't have any free time. I feel like I've been telling myself that for a while. And I've just recently been trying to get over it, get more involved in maybe some organizations, local nonprofits, find ways to be involved in your community. Even if it's just like subscribing to a newsletter, you might come across something that is the inspiration that you needed or the idea that you've been looking for. And so if you can continually put yourself in those positions while still doing your best to take care of yourself without overwhelming, and that's a tough balance to strike as well, but it definitely needs to be acknowledged. But if you can do that, then hopefully things can start coming your way. At the same time, it can't be done without that hustle and that initiative that you need to take to get those applications out there, or spend a full day, with your head down, writing cover letters and resumes. That part is of course not the fun part, but if you can really tie it back to your values and why you're applying in the first place, it'll make your application even that much better. And ultimately, we need dedicated, motivated people in this field, in sustainability and the environment. One thing I've learned in working here or working around this industry is just that it's not competitive in the same way other industries are, in that really people want to work together collaboratively. And so if you can come to this industry, come to this equation ready to contribute and with your ears and eyes open, then really great, amazing things can happen at the big picture, trying to curb climate change, trying to address environmental and social injustice, especially over the last year, that really has come to the forefront too. So I probably said this a few times now, but knowing yourself, connecting these applications and your job search back to your values is what I think is the best pathway. So the other thing I'll mention is that you're allowed to be uncertain. You're allowed to not know what you're doing at all, because I can be up here, saying and speaking confidently today, but I might be thinking about my own career shift too. I didn't graduate too long. Too long ago. Grad school is still in the cards for me. But you're never in a place for forever, and you are allowed to be uncertain and make changes. So always just do your best to reflect, stay in tune with what you need, again, with what motivates you, and you'll be taken along the path. So I'll leave you last but not least with an invitation to check out Climate Corps. I'll just post our link here in the chat for you to check out. Applications are open. If there are positions up, more positions will be posted in the coming 2 months as we secure our partner sites for next year. The positions are really across everything. Like I said, I was in city government. We have positions in nonprofit, smaller organizations. We have some with schools and colleges, even some for-profit organizations as well. Yeah, lots of options, lots of opportunities. I'd love to speak with you all more about it. And I will pass it back to Jenna. And thanks for the time.
Thank you, Jake. Now I would like to introduce you to our next panelist, Jessie King, an environmental planner from AECOM.
Hi everyone, my name is Jessie. Like Morgan, I'm also an environmental planner, but for AECOM, and we are an engineering and infrastructure firm. And a little history about me, I had like an unconventional route with school. I started off at UCI right out of high school, and I kind of had no idea what I wanted to do. I think I was studying like English or something back then, and I just felt like really lost going to like university right away. So I left for a while. I did some part-time jobs, and I went to community college where I took an environmental science course, and that's where I really fell in love with the major. Eventually switched to San Jose State, and I chose environmental studies as my major, and there I took an intro to environmental impact assessment course with Autumn Marquez. And that's when I kind of grew really interested in environmental planning. And in the beginning, like I had no idea what I was doing with it, but there was something there that I was particularly interested in. Ended up taking the advanced EIA for that. And I also was a student assistant for AUDA. And yeah, I just like really grew in love with the subject. And did a couple internships while I was at SJSU. I did CDR with Bruce, and also I did an internship at Valley Water for their education and outreach program. That gave me a strong background in learning about water infrastructure and also with public and community outreach. So that really helped a lot to get to where I am today. Some advice that I would have for you guys while you're looking for jobs right now. So since I graduated from SJSU, I moved to LA actually in the beginning of last year. So right before the pandemic started, which was like perfect timing. And I had moved to LA without a job lined up. So like a lot of people, I was looking for a job when the pandemic started, and oh my God, it was like terrifying. I was like, I'm never gonna find work again. But you know, we don't enter the environmental field because like we want to be like billionaires, right? I don't think that's what most of us are interested in. Like we care about sustainability because we care about fighting climate change, like protecting our natural resources. Like it's something that we're passionate about. And that was kind of like the driving force to me to not give up during the job hunt. And it's really great to stay diligent with like, you know, resources like LinkedIn and Indeed for job postings. But I think what helped me was that I had like a specific list of places that I wanted to work for, whether it was a consulting firm, a nonprofit, government agencies. And I just, I thought about like their core values and what they stood for, and if that aligned with mine. And I just kept those, you know, like at the top of my list. And instead of just like, I guess, applying to like hundreds of random jobs with like whoever would just take me. And I wanted to work for AECOM because of their global presence and the exposure to the different levels of projects that they get to work on. I know they've done like pop-up COVID hospitals during the pandemic. They worked on like the One World Trade Center in New York. So I was just like, wow, that's really cool. And that sounds like a place I want to work for. And like everyone else said, it's really great to network if you can, but you know, I know it's hard to put yourself out there and who's meeting anyone new during this time, right? So I think for strengthening your job application, really work on a strong cover letter that's not just cut and paste, and let your personality show in it, and pay attention to details like who is the actual hiring manager for that role. And when you're doing your application, make sure to fill in those keywords from like the job responsibilities and duties into your resume, because the most important part is just getting through that first initial screening with HR. And then once you get past that and you have like your application is in front of someone that's actually hiring within that team, that's when you can really show your passion for the role. And as much as figuring out what you want to do is important, also figuring out what you don't want to do is just as important, because you don't want to be trapped in a job for 4 years. Like, you know, what am I doing? So don't be discouraged if you don't know yet. Every opportunity is a learning opportunity to help. And for opportunities for you guys, please check out AECOM's website. Just like Morgan mentioned, for Jacobs, we also do have a graduate development program and a mentorship program, and AECOM has offices everywhere, every major city. And we have different positions within sustainability and outside of sustainability too. And also it helps to look for professional organizations within your careers for additional resources. I know for environmental planners, we have like APA, AEP. For engineers, I think they have their like engineering and training, like that kind of program. So yeah, look around, and also please feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn if you need any career or life advice in general. So yeah.
Thank you, Jessie. Now I would like to introduce our final panelist, Kristen Keller, a career counselor from San Jose State University's Career Center.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kristen. It is so nice to be here today. Thank you for everyone's great feedback. I wrote down so many nice tips from all of our panelists so far, and it's so good to hear that your tips are very much in line with what my career center and I actually really encourage our students to do. So everybody in this room is probably here because you have a similar passion for the environment. And you're thinking, maybe you want to get involved, do an internship, do a job, regardless if you are a environmental studies major or not. So my favorite tips so far, there's been a ton of them, but you've got to network. It's all about who you know. Your first job may not be a dream job, and that's okay. You can learn from it and you can move on from it. Really knowing yourself and what you want to do is going to help in that job search. You are allowed to be uncertain. That is such a perfect thing. And figure out what you don't like to do. And that's okay. I consider myself in my dream job right now, but it took me a long time to get here. And there's certainly things I still don't like that much. So that's okay. So what I'm going to do for the next few minutes is give you guys a quick overview of how the San Jose State Career Center can help you take your next steps in your career search. So if you've seen someone today who's given you great advice, or you wrote down somebody's company name and you think that's your dream company, at the Career Center, we've got some resources to help you continue forward. So let's dive in. And just to clarify, I am a career counselor at San Jose State, and I specialize in working with students in health and the green economy as well. So basically, I'm just going to give you guys a quick overview of some of the tools that we have on our website, which is sjsu.edu/career center. We've got Focus 2, which is a great way to explore careers. I'm going to show you one of my favorite tools, which is what can I do with a major in. I'll remind you about the SJSU job and internship guide. I think it was Jesse was talking about how important your marketing materials are, your resume and your cover letter. We've got a lot of that as well. And then last but not least, today, this is maybe for some of you guys, your first networking event that you've ever gone to. And it's been so well done. And a big part of it is connecting with people who have a similar interest to you. So we actually have a mentoring platform called SJSU Squared that has like 600 professionals, many of them in the green economy, who are here and ready to give you advice. And I'd also like to just shout out to any of the panelists. If you want to give back more and be available for email or phone conversations, definitely consider joining our group, because you guys, your advice is fantastic. So with that in mind, here is our website. And if you are going to be looking for anything I tell you about today, your best bet is to go into our resources tab, and that's where you'll find pretty much all of our apps and services. The first app I want to tell you about is Focus 2. So there's been a lot of talk today about how important it is to understand yourself and what you'd like to do. Focus 2 has basically some online quizzes to help you identify your skills and interests. And it's also a place where you can research. There's so many different careers where you can incorporate your love of the green economy. They may not all be called sustainability coordinator or any of the job titles people have here today. So it's really important to start researching those. So Focus 2 is a great resource for that. I'm going to ask you guys a question. I'm actually going to have you put in the chat box if you don't mind. Make sure everybody's still out there. So how much does a climate change analyst make in the United States? Go ahead and put in your guess in the chat box, either 55K, 68K, or 77K. Got a couple of votes for 68. Okay, it's actually 77. Okay, so if you are curious to learn more about salaries and what people do, that information is also in Focus 2. And this is actually a list when you go into environmental studies of just some common jobs that people often hold within environmental studies. And you can see the climate change policy analyst right up top. All right. So the next tool I want to share with you guys, and I believe one of my coworkers, Larissa, is here with me today. And so any questions you have, go ahead and put them in the chat box and she'll help you and maybe even send you some URLs about where to find this. So this is one of my favorite documents that we have at San Jose State. It's called What Can I Do with a Major in? And I pulled up, this is a screenshot of the top half of what can I do with a degree in environmental studies. The actual document is like 5 pages long, okay? I love this document because it breaks down all the areas of environmental studies, and it breaks down all the different types of employers that hire, and it also gives you some strategies on how to get into these internships and jobs. So I love this because I think someone said earlier, you can always incorporate sustainability into your job. It may not, you know, a lot of the people here have actually found their way into green companies, right? But if you can't do that, there's still ways to get involved. So this is what can I do with a major in? The next piece that I'm going to tell you about is, I think it was Jesse was talking about marketing yourself. And all of our applicants speakers talked about how it took a lot of resumes and a lot of interviewing to land the jobs they have. And the resume part, it's so intimidating, right? But we actually have a resume and cover letter guide at San Jose State that has all of our best tips that are proven. But my very favorite part is at the very bottom, you'll see the section called sample resumes. And we have environmental studies resumes on there, guys. They're so good. And it will also show you some examples of every other major at San Jose State, but also you can have some of these really cool class projects and volunteer jobs that you've been trying. Those should be on your resume, okay? So if you're not sure quite how to format it, check out our resume and cover letter guide. And then over to the right, we also have a job and internship guide. One of the most used words today is networking. So if you are curious about how to go ahead and start that process, we've got a lot of good tips on that process, even using LinkedIn, which has been one of my favorite tools, and it's been mentioned here today. So all of our tips are in those guides. Let's just say you're more of someone who likes to get advice one-on-one from people. I know I personally am, I'd rather do that than a ton of research. So I told you earlier, we have a mentor platform. It is called SJSU Squared. And this is accessible to all of you San Jose State students. There's over 600 professionals from various industries. Even Kristen's on there, actually. So if you could always reach out to Kristen through it as well. And it allows you to search through different industries and look at people's resumes. And if you find someone you'd like to get career advice from, you can actually email them directly on the website. And people always say to me, but Kristen, I don't know what to say to Jake when I reach out to him for the first time. The mentoring platform actually gives you templates on what to say. So we make it pretty easy, and all these 600 people have signed up within the last 2 years, and they want to give you advice. All right. So if you're scared of the idea of networking, I always suggest start with San Jose State alum, because they were right where you were a couple years ago, and you already have that in common. There's a lot of great tutorials online about using the LinkedIn alumni feature. So if you have a dream job, I think Jessie mentioned this, she had a list of like target companies. You can actually put your target company's name in LinkedIn and find out if you have any connections of people who work there, okay? Or San Jose State alumni connections. So you can always check out LinkedIn. And I'll just give you a quick peek as far as what the mentoring app looks like. My tip for today is if you log into the mentoring app, make sure you go into this industry experience. So you can certainly search by job title but you're going to be really limited. So I would actually search by industry experience and maybe even put in environmental studies to find people like Kristen and others who want to give you advice. Okay. I told you about our templates that make it really easy for you to reach out to new contacts. This is an example of that. And you'll see Tanya is on our platform. She's a sustainability analyst and that works locally with the County of Santa Clara. And she's one of the people ready and willing to take your questions. So that is it for today. I'm really hoping that you now not only are excited about this possibility of starting some kind of green career or incorporating it into your work in your internship or job after college, but you also realize you have a lot of tools through the Career Center website that will help you get started with that process. So make sure you go onto our website, you check out what can I do with a major in, check out our resume, job and internship guides for resume samples and tips. And please go on SJSU Squared. Somebody from your dream company, might be on there. So I'd really encourage you to do that. And if you have heard anything today that kind of stuck with you, and I want to let you know, in addition to workshops like this, I also have one-on-one appointments, and there's 8 other career counselors who also offer 30-minute personalized Zoom appointments to you guys throughout your time at San Jose State. So those appointments can be booked on Spartan Connect, and check it out. And then our website is at the top. So if you're curious about finding any of that, and if you'd like to email me directly to ask a question, or you can't figure out the scheduling, just email me at kristen.m.keller@sjsu.edu. And that is it. So thank you for listening, and thank you again to the panelists for all the great information.
Thank you, Kristen. Now we will be transitioning to the Q&A. So if you have an answer, you can just unmute. I know a couple of you already answered this question, but you can answer it again if you want. This question is from Amy, and she's asking, are the internships for summer 2021 virtual or remote?
Yeah, I answered it in the chat, but just to, I guess, restate it, but we might be doing like hybrid or 50-50 in person and virtual. I guess it might just depend on like what the opportunity is. So if something's more in field or if something's more in office based, I know our company's still working on reopening, but they're being safe regarding the whole pandemic. So I don't even know when we'll be back in office yet, but they'll give you all the tools and resources that you need to be successful in whatever opportunity you may take. And there's always people that you can ask questions and ping at any time. So.
For AECOM, we also don't have a specific date of returning back to the office, but I know that we're like working towards a hybrid model right now, where eventually we will be working from home some days, going to the office some days if it's needed. I would think that for the summer internships, it would probably mostly be virtual. But yeah, they'll also give you everything that you need to onboard remotely, because I did too. And I haven't met like most of my team in person even yet, but been just chugging along and working through it. So yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of similar for Climate Corps. And just to mention a little bit more about how the program works, it's an 11-month fellowship. We have lots of activities as a program, like monthly trainings and community service days, and lots of different things that as a program we make different decisions on. So we might, we'll be following health and safety protocols. So some of those activities we all do together could come back gradually. Otherwise, really the way the program works is we're sort of the middleman, and then we send you all out to different project partners to work with them primarily for the 11-month term, and they might have different plans or expectations regarding working in person we're really hoping we can be back in person because it's such an important part of this program. And for me, especially, like I said, I came from Connecticut. It's how I made some of my first friends here in the Bay Area. And there's still lots of community building, even though it's online. But it's hard to replace the in-person. So we're hoping that comes back soon.
And I'll just mention, if you are interested in remote work and you're not sure where you want to work, in LinkedIn, you can put in your search guidelines for when you're looking for jobs, you can put location remote, and then it'll only show you positions that are remote available.
Okay, for our next question, are there any specific software programs aside from Microsoft Suite or Google Suite that you work with often or would recommend knowing that would be helpful on a resume?
Yeah, Jesse, go for it.
Thanks. Within environmental planning, at least, it's great to have GIS or Google Earth knowledge. And I'm sure that translates a lot for other professions within the environmental field as well. And also just knowing like your basic, I guess, like Zoom and Microsoft Teams and, Outlook for email, stuff like that. And also just like a side tangent, something else I like to include on my resume is also hobbies, like just to set yourself apart from the basic, like, oh, here's my work history, here are my skills, but then here are also things that like that interest me as a person. And maybe then for like the recruiter that could be looking at your resume could be like, oh, I also like hiking, or like I also like coffee, or something like that. And yeah, it's like a personal connection to have that could help you stand out.
Yeah, Jesse, you mentioned many of the software I was thinking of as well. GIS, we see a lot of that being very useful for our fellows who are doing a bit more of the technical work. In our program too, we have, I'd say, people who are more generalists. I definitely fit into that category. So Google and Microsoft suites were plenty. I would actually encourage you as well to think about some of the soft skills that you need as opposed to the software. And that could be a few different things, but really just having cultural competency, understanding what's going on in the world. If you have a sense for your professional skills like organization and maybe facilitation of meetings, really honing in on your skills of how you'll approach the work and what you bring and contribute. I think that's just as important as mentioning software or like some of the more clerical or technical skills. And Jesse, I love including hobbies in there too. Yeah, share as much as you can about yourself.
Yeah, those are both really great advice and tips too. I really like Jesse's personal touch on the resume. Like that can generate a good conversation and like a lasting memory in some interviews where, things may be virtually hosted right now. But as for other software, for my projects right now, I use a lot of this thing called Bluebeam. And it's like a review session where you can like go in and mark up drawings or documents. We currently use it with our military projects right now. So it's a cool way. It's kind of like an advanced way of like a PDF Acrobat DC markup tool where you can highlight and add comments and then like add back checking in so other people and reviewers can go in and check your work. So that one's a cool tool. And then if you're into more like engineering stuff like AutoCAD, that can be helpful along with GIS, but I don't know AutoCAD. I use that to the other professionals, they can use that, but yeah, it's a good one to be familiar with at least.
And I'll just add from the opposite end, not technical at all. I found it really beneficial to learn marketing, and I didn't study marketing, I didn't study graphic design, but I started with Canva, which is really, really user friendly. And I would encourage all of you, if you're interested at all in any kind of marketing and sustainability, to take advantage of Creative Cloud as students, because you have InDesign and Photoshop and all of these access to these really great tools. And I'm teaching myself everything from, I think, LinkedIn Learning, Kristen, and also on YouTube. And it can be really beneficial if you go into a sustainability job and you want to work on behavior change as well, to be able to, supplement with what you're talking about with that marketing.
I think we have time for one more question. We can just like rapid fire this one. It's, what do you wish you knew before starting your current job?
Okay, I'll take it. I wish I knew to be more confident in myself. I can be extremely humble and think in a sense oh, maybe I'm not smart enough to do that or whatever, but talking to other professionals that are years above me are still going through a lot of the same learning experiences I am. So it's you are capable of doing the job and whatever it entails, and especially if you have the drive and the passion. So just having confidence, and that's something I'm still trying to work on. It's intimidating knowing all these people have been, in the work service for X amount of years. So you're inclined to think that they know better, but sometimes you actually know better. And I've had that happen a couple of times, and I was like, oh, this is weird, but it's also really cool. So yeah, be confident.
I'll echo that. Having to meet everyone at my new campus virtually for the last year has been really difficult, as somebody who really feels like I thrived at San Jose State with my in-person connections. Kristen Keller and I got coffee often, to work on ideas together. And I'm working with a lot more vendors now, and I'm working with a lot more departments on RFPs and language and contracts. And so to learn how to be confident and demand respect, especially when I'm in a Zoom call with all men who are twice my age, to learn what certain words to take out of my language, to stop doubting myself, and to be confident in what I do know and what I'm capable of. And it's a challenge, especially virtually, but yeah, fake it till you make it.
Yeah, fake it till you make it. that one hits home. But I think I wish I knew that my voice was valued when I first got there. I think I assumed, just based on positionality and experience and seniority and all those things I didn't have, that I was there to really more follow along or support. And that's true. You have to stick to your role in a sense, but there's also opportunities to get your ideas out to the forefront, or maybe push back and challenge something that your bosses say. And so I, throughout the course of my 1-year fellowship, and then really since then, I'm really just trying to get better at that, coming prepared with the idea or with whatever it is that I want to say. But if it is about the way that you present it, and it does matter the words that you choose to use. So I've been trying to get better at learning to do that, and just recognizing that it might be something that you're nervous about to approach or bring up any sort of thing in opposition, but you also need to recognize that your voice is valued, and so they want you to say those things.
Yeah, like everyone said, it's all really great advice, and being confident in yourself is really important. And tying in with that, also not being afraid to ask for help, especially when you're working remotely. You can't just tap the person next to you and be like, hey, can you look at this, and help me with this? Now it's oh my gosh, I have to message this person or video call them. So it's additional steps, and it's kind of scary, asking for help, especially when you're new in a position. But especially in the nature of consulting, where your workload is just, it can be crazy at times, and sometimes it can be slow. But just being humble enough to reach out when you really do need help, and not being scared, because
think Jesse froze at the end there.
I'll go. This is Kristen. One of the things that I wish new San Jose State graduates knew as you're finishing up your degree at San Jose State is something one of the panelists said. It is very okay for you to apply for a position that is asking for 2 to 3 years of experience. That's still entry level. And the other thing is that make sure you're giving yourself credit for class projects that you did that were maybe on environmental topics that show your interest, research papers that you wrote on a certain thing, maybe a group, something you did with the volunteering or with the, water program on campus. So don't leave it off your resume because you didn't get paid. Okay, that actually, all this work and all the studying you've been doing the last couple of years, it counts. It really, really counts. So make sure you give yourself credit for that.
For the panelists, if you feel comfortable sharing your LinkedIn, you can send them in the chat now if you haven't already. But that's all for today's panel. I want to give a big thank you to the panelists for joining us today and sharing your experiences in the sustainability industry. And thank you all for joining us for our annual Green Career Panel. If you want to keep up with any of our other Earth Month events, you can follow us on Instagram at SJSU Green Campus to keep updated with our next events for the month. But thank you all.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jenna.
Thanks so much for having us today. Best of luck.